So it opened up my eyes to see like, hey, like there's a lot of different ways where you can make a lot more money. To the other thing that it made me realize is I don't want to do all the work on my properties. I like doing a little bit, but I think I spent a total of 4.5 weeks every day doing, I don't want to say backbreaking work, but it was
construction.
Yeah, labor intensive.
Yeah.
So it opened my mind to say, if I can make more or even the same amount and not have to do any work on my other flips, that's the route that I want to take.
Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of The Financially Free Investor, where you will learn information and strategies on how to become financially independent by investing in real estate, something that is not taught openly in our society today. Financial freedom matters so you can live a bigger life, retire early, and do what matters most to you. Get ready to hear tried and true methods to becoming financially free with your host, Jordy Clark.
All right, everyone, welcome into another episode of The Financially Free Investor. I'm super excited because today our guest, he's actually my brother. He helps sell real estate with me. He kills it in the real estate game, even though he may not think so. He's miles and miles ahead of most people. And I thought it would be awesome to bring him in and have him, tell us kind of his journey and maybe a couple stories. So with that said, Murray, welcome in.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah. Well, maybe why don't we jump in and you can kind of tell us your maybe 2 to 3 minute overview of becoming an investor.
Oh gosh. Well, I'm gonna have to set the scene for you. So it might be a little bit longer than 2 minutes, but got a lot of interesting things that have happened in my life. Take you back to like 2016. I was laid off from my job. I was 22. I had 2 cars repossessed. I had probably $30,000 of credit card debt, and I was broke and couch surfing. And then I found another job. It was great. But I had to move down to my parents because I was tired of living on friends and family's couches. And my parents live roughly 2 hours away from where I was working. So I was making basically a 4-hour drive to work and make $14 an hour. Me and Jordy did not have a great relationship at that time. But after like 4 to 5 months of doing that and working 12 hours a day and commuting 4 hours on top of that, Jordy reached out and was like, hey, come live with me. You should look into real estate, read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I was like, oh, great. I got a lot of time on my drive. So fast forward, I moved in with Jordy, started real estate as an assistant, got my license. And I was like, man, I'm making really good money, but I want to invest because I was working with investors at that time. And I want to do what they're doing. I'm seeing them get huge checks and they're financially free. And so that's what I want. So you fast forward a little bit longer because I had to dig myself out of the hole from the cars and credit card debt. I was finally debt free. And I bought my first house on a seller finance deal that it was a foreclosure. One of my investors bought it. I seller financed it from him. I was there for about 6 months, did some remodeling, and then kind of shifted out, bought another house, rented that one out. And then I did my first flip, West Wind Way in Kearns, Utah. And I
never forget your first.
You never forget your first. And so the really cool thing with that one is I had no money to bring to the deal. So I ended up doing 90% of the work for sweat equity. And then we sold it. I think I made like $9,500. I thought I was the richest person in the world. And then just kind of every year I just scaled and did more. So now I'm refinancing my 7th flip currently into my 4th owned property. It's not a great deal. I'm losing about $30 a month, but it wouldn't sell. So we're refinancing it.
Yeah.
So now I have a couple properties, but the cash flow from my other rental properties make up for the deficit on this one. In 10 years, I'll look like a genius, hopefully.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. And another cool, I'm 29 and single, so I house hack. I just bought a townhouse and I receive $1,650 a month in rent from renting rooms. I'll finish out the basement and get another $1,100 a month, and I'll basically be living for free and at a net zero monthly living cost.
Yeah,
for me.
that's pretty sweet.
So
that's really cool.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool to see how far you've come, and you've definitely learned a lot. You've grown a lot, and we were just actually talking about this before the podcast, but you were like, man, I'm stressed because we got all these deals going, and a lot of agents don't have a lot going right now because the market's shifted. Feels like 80 to 90% of the buyers are out of the market entirely. Inventory is rising, prices, feels like they've got some downward pressure. Interest rates just keep going higher and higher. On that refinance, what interest rate did you get?
The interest rate I got was 6.75.
Oh yeah.
And I'm paying just about 2 points to get it that low. So originally it was like 7.5.
Yeah. So we were looking at rates the other day, and I mean the rates for owner occupied was like
7%. Yeah.
So it's all relative, but yeah. So maybe let's go into two different things real quick. Hey everyone, just a quick minute. This episode is brought to you by our show sponsor, EVA Solutions. EVA Solutions is a virtual staffing company that provides a hassle-free experience when it comes to finding the right virtual assistant. From sourcing, interviewing, qualifying, onboarding, to monitoring your VA, they have it all covered. They understand that your business is unique, and so are your virtual assistant needs. That's why they offer high-quality virtual assistants that are customized to fit your specific requirements and needs. They have a team of experienced and professional virtual assistants who are experts in a variety of skills in different industries, including customer service, administrative support, data entry, property management, social media management, and the list goes on. If you sign up using the link, you'll get a $200 off for full-time VA service for the first 6 months. So go to show notes, click on the link, and EVA Solutions has your back. If you're looking for a VA, if you're looking for an assistant, they will knock it out of the park for you because they do it for me and my businesses. The first flip that you made $9,800 on, that you felt like the richest man in the world.
Yeah.
What did you learn in that flip? And what did it do for you? Besides giving you $9,800 and you feel like the richest man.
What did it do for me? I think it opened up my eyes that, because I was doing sales, like just commission based, but with the brokerage and everything, like they were smaller sums so that was the biggest check that I had ever received, just in like a lump sum, right? Yeah. So it opened up my eyes to see like, hey, like there's a lot of different ways where you can make a lot more money. To the other thing that it made me realize is I don't want to do all the work on my properties. I like doing a little bit, but I think I spent a total of 4.5 weeks every day doing, I don't want to say backbreaking work, but It was
Just construction.
yeah, labor intensive.
Yeah.
So it opened my mind to say, if I can make more or even the same amount and not have to do any work on my other flips, that's the route that I want to take.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, those are good insights. So your first property you ever bought was a condo.
Yep.
Maybe walk us through that deal and tell us what seller financing was, kind of what those terms were, how you negotiated it, and how that can benefit other people, especially since, I think we're going to see a lot of seller financing deals come up for the next little while.
Yeah, I'm working on 2 seller finance deals right now. The terms on that seller finance were not great. I was very green and I did not know how to negotiate as well. But the terms for it, I think he bought it at $140,000 from HUD, which is a government-owned agency. He bought it cash, and then he was like, well, I want to seller finance it to someone in my ward. And I was like, great, well, I don't own a property. Would you be open to selling it to me? I can't qualify. I haven't been getting commissions for 2 years yet, so I can't get a loan. And he's like, yeah, I want to make 50 grand on it, plus whatever interest payments that comes to. So I think I ended up buying it for $195, and we set it up on an interest only seller finance. So I was never paying any of the principal down. It was all just interest only. Let me remind you, this was my first house. The payment was $997 a month. And I thought I was going to go broke because that was a lot of money. And realistically, that was less than a 2-bedroom apartment. And this was a 1,200 square foot condo in a great area. It was also in litigation. The HOA was. So most normal financing wouldn't work. So it had to be somewhat creative.
But it got you in the game.
Yep.
It got you a house when you wouldn't have. So, I think a lot of people would have let, oh, well, it's interest only. I'm paying so much more than he did, whatever. Like you can always find an excuse not to do something, right?
Yeah.
But you bought it, you got in the game. It was only interest only, but you waited kind of out the litigation.
Yeah, I sold it actually at probably the best time. I made like $30,000 on it, which was great.
Yeah.
I also had it rented out for the second half of the time that I owned it. So I was cash flowing on top of the interest payment about $300 a month. But I sold it right when the litigation was about to end, and the HOA went from $320 to $685. So it would have made it significantly harder for people to qualify because the HOA takes away some of your qualifying power.
Yep.
And the financing would have still been just as hard. So someone to qualify for a $220,000 condo would have to have qualified for almost $450,000, $500,000. So
yeah,
I feel like I got out at the right time. Even though I didn't make a ton of money on it, I still made some money on it.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing, just thinking about it, is you made 30 grand on that condo. And at $14 an hour working full time, that equates to about $30,000 a year.
Yep. So in about 9.5 months, I made 30,000. No, I guess it was probably 13 months.
I was going to say, I thought you owned it a little bit longer.
Yeah, no, I owned it for about 13, 14 months.
Okay.
So
you made what? And that's the cool thing about real estate, right? Which is why, I tried so hard to get you into it, because I can see, and, we've slowly helped other family members get into it as well. Some are more resistant than others, but that's okay. It's a journey. It's a progression.
it's not for everyone.
But by just owning one property, you effectively doubled your salary that year, if you think about it.
Yeah.
And sure, was it a little extra work and headache? Yes. But is it the same as doubling your amount of hours you worked?
No. But here's the really cool thing is I was so excited when I walked in and I was like, oh man, I own this.
Yeah.
Like there's no other feeling walking into something and you're like, hey, this is mine, especially when it's your first one.
Yeah.
And I had so many plans to go through and change everything and make it mine. All I did was update the floors a little bit. And then I moved out and bought another house that I lived in for 2.5 years. And I made $250,000 on just appreciation of that one alone.
Yeah.
So
And, yeah. And the cool thing is it just gives you momentum. Yeah. I mean, with that being said, that's kind of where you're at. I'm curious now,
sure.
where are you going? What are some plans? What's next for Murray?
Oh, that's a good question. I am just going to keep doing what I'm doing right now. I am trying to have as much cash available as possible to hopefully pick up more seller finance deals over the next 18-24 months. Because we're going to start, like you said, we're going to start seeing them pop up a lot more. And especially with a lot more favorable terms.
Mm-hmm.
So usually the terms I look for is like a 5.55, 5.7, 10.
Can you explain what that is?
I'll explain the 5.55. The 5.55 is 5% interest, 5% down, 5-year balloon.
Yeah.
So, and then obviously if you change those, like a 10-year balloon, it's a 5.5, 10, or
yeah,
you can kind of adjust it, but that's the minimum that I look for.
Yeah.
In a seller finance deal.
Cool.
So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, effectively buying roughly one house a year. This year it was 2. So my hope is that with my living costs being a net zero, essentially, that I'll be able to kind of snowball that and make that happen a lot faster.
Sweet.
So yeah, that's what's next.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, if people want to follow along on your journey, we'll obviously link it, but what's your Instagram handle, Facebook?
Instagram handle is Murray, Murray .Clark1. I think. Hold on, let me check. I don't even know. I'm not a big social media guy, honestly. Yeah, Murray.Clark1.
Okay, cool. We'll link to that in show notes. And it's been fun watching your journey so far. I'm excited to see where you go from here. And you've done a lot. I think you've done more than most people. And I hope that this episode was inspiring if you were listening. And you want to go follow Murray's journey. Yeah. So with that being said, thanks. Man.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having me. Maybe we'll do it again.
I'm sure we will. We'll probably have a follow-up episode. But with that being said, guys, thanks for tuning in to the Financially Free Investor podcast. Please like, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating and review, and share this with someone that you think it would resonate with, that we could help on their journey to financial freedom as well. So with that being said, guys, we're signing off. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Financially Free Investor. If you found value in this episode or know someone who would find value in this information, please share with them, subscribe, and send us a review.